Estudyante sa India na kuryente habang naglalakad sa tubig baha.
Nakaligtas naman kaya ang bata mula sa bingit ng kamatayan? Naku, ang mga susunod pong kaganapan ating idedetalye maya-maya. Magandang gabi, ako po si Ricky Mathay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alago Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Miyerkules.
Malacanang kinumpirma ang pagbisita ni Japan Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba sa Pilipinas.
Pangalawang batch ng Indian-made Abramos missiles dumating na sa Pilipinas.
26 na turista patay sa terror attack sa Kashmir.
Higit 3,000 mga residente sa New Jersey inilikas dahil sa wildfires.
At presyo ng ginto, lumobo na po sa record high na $3,500. Kinumpirma ng Malacanang ang pagbisita ni Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba sa Pilipinas mula April 29 hanggang 30.
Si Ishiba ay inaasahan na makikipagkita kay Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. para sa isang bilateral meeting upang palakasin ang kooperasyon ng Pilipinas at ng Japan. Ayon sa Presidential Communications Office, layo ng pagbisita ng Japanese Prime Minister sa bansa na mas palalimin pa ang maraming aspeto ng ugnayan ng dalawang bansa, kabilang narito ang economic cooperation, defense engagements at people-to-people exchanges. Huling nagkita sina PBBM at Ishiba sa sidelines ng isinagawang ASEAN Summit sa Vientiane, Laos, People's Democratic Republic. Sa naging pagpupulong ay dito nila napagdesisyonan ang mas malakas na bilateral relations ng dalawang bansa.
Dumating na sa Pilipinas ang ikalawang batch ng India-made Brahmos missiles. Ayon sa Department of National Defense, ang missile system na ito ay bahagi ng deal ng Armed Forces of the Philippines sa Indian-Russian venture na Brahmos Aerospace Private Limited na nagkakahalaga ng 18.9 billion pesos. Ang Brahmos missile ay isang long-range system at kayang paliparin nito ang isang missile sa layong 290 kilometers sa bilis sa 2.8 Mach speed. Kinikilala rin ng mga defense analysts ang naturang missile system bilang isa sa mga most advanced cruise missiles sa buong mundo dahil sa versatile functions nito.
May hamon ang Kamara kay Vice President Sara Duterte sa kanyang pagdepensa sa impeachment trial nito sa Senado. Inaasahan ng mayorya ng miyembro ng mababang kapulungan ng Kongreso na masasagot na ni Vice President Sara Duterte ang mga hindi nasagot na katanungan sa Kamara hinggil sa issue ng paggastos sa kanyang confidential fund. Kabilang kasi sa 7 article of impeachment na isinampa ng Kamara laban kay VP Sara ang issue ng paggastos sa confidential funds ng Office of the Vice President at ng Department of Education. Magugunitang inihayag ni Senate President Francis Cheese Escudero na sa pagbabalik pa ng sesyon ng Kongreso sa Hunyo, maiko-convene ang Senado bilang impeachment court para litisin ang 7 articles of impeachment na isinampa ng Kamara laban sa Vice Presidente. Samantala, available na ang mas secured na online precinct finder ng Commission on Elections o COMELEC. Ito ay para mas mapadali at maiwasan ang pakikipagsiksikan sa paghanap ng kani-kaniyang mga presinto. Sa kanilang online platform, hihingin ang buong pangalan, petsa at lugar ng kapanganakan, gayon din ang lugar kung saan sila nakarehistro. Malalaman din kung active pa ba o hindi na ang botante. Ayon kay COMELEC Chairperson George Erwin Garcia, umabot sa estimated 35 million na mga hacking attempts ang online precinct finder nitong mga nagdaang eleksyon. Sinigurado naman ni ni Garcia na may sapat na countermeasures ang kanilang sistema laban sa cyber attacks. Dagdag pa niya, tiyak na may mga susubok na mag-hack sa kanilang system dahil nasa COMELEC ang pinakamalawak na data ng mga Pilipino na nasa mahigit 69 milyon na mga botante para sa local at midterm elections ngayong taon. Ang online precinct finder ay maaaring ma-access sa precinctfinder.comelec.gov.ph.
Tiniyak ng Department of Education na kanilang pagtutuunan na malaking pansin ang kapakanan at karapatan ng mga guro na magsisilbi sa May 12 national at local elections. Ayon kay Education Secretary Sunny Angara, mahalaga na mabigyan ng buong suporta ang mga guro na tutulong sa halalan. Higit pa rito, naglaan din ang ahensya ng Election Task Force na siyang susubaybay sa real-time monitoring, assistance at pagresponde sa panahon ng halalan. Magiging fully operational naman ang DepEd Election Command Center mula May 11 hanggang 13, kung saan ang headquarters ay matatagpuan sa lungsod na Makati.
Sinaspin din ng Land Transportation Office o LTO ang 671 mga drivers na nasangkot sa mga aksidente at nagpositibo sa drug test. Ayon kay LTO Chief Assistant Secretary Attorney Vigor Mendoza, sa isang press conference, 547 ang suspendido dahil sa mga insidente sa kalsada. Samantalang natirang 77 ay nasuspende dahil sa nagpositibo naman para sa droga. Ayon naman sa Department of Transportation, maaaring mawala ng driver's license ang iilan pagkatapos ng mga isinasagawang investigasyon. Noong nakaraang linggo ay nagsagawa ang LTO ng random and surprise inspection at mga drug test sa mga bus drivers upang masigurong alerto ang mga nagmamaneho para sa pag-uwi ng mga biyahero sa nagdaang holiday.
Target ng kumpanyang namamahala sa Metro Rail Transit 7 na maging operational na ito sa susunod na taon. Kaugnay nito ay pirmado na ng MRT7 at National Railway ng South Korea ang kasunduan para sa maintenance and operations ng nasabing mass transit system. Kabilang po dito ang pagtulong nila sa setup ng MRT7 core operational systems, safety protocol at maintenance programs. Ang 22-kilometer MRT7 ay mag-uugnay sa North Avenue sa Quezon City patungong San Jose del Monte, Bulacan, kung saan ay magkakaroon ito ng 14 na istasyon sa kahabaan ng mga riles nito. Una nang inihayag ng Department of Transportation noong taong 2024 na target nilang simulan ang operasyon ng MRT7 sa katapusan ng taong 2025. Gagawaran ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ng Presidential Medal of Merit ang 4 iconic women bilang pagkilala sa kanilang mahalagang kontribusyon sa kulturang Pilipino. Ang parangal ay bibigay posthumously sa isang seremonya sa Malacanang sa May 4, 2025. Si Gloria Romero, na reyna ng pelikulang Pilipino, ay pumanaw noong Enero sa edad na 91. Si Margarita Forrest naman, na kilalang chef at tagapagtaguyod ng pagkain Pilipino, ay namatay noong February 11 sa edad na 65. Habang si Pilita Corrales, na Asia's Queen of Songs, ay pumanaw noong April 12 sa edad na 85. At si Nora Honor, na pumanaw noong nakaraang linggo sa edad na 71, ay tataguriang National Artist for Film. Lahat ng 4 na kababaihan ay kinilala para sa kanilang natatanging ambag sa sining, musika, pelikula at kulturang Pilipino.
Susunod, terror attack sa Kashmir, 26 na turista patay.
Chinese nationals nagtatrabaho umano para sa Russian Army.
At Putin interesado sa peace deal ng Ukraine. Mga detalye ng mga balitang yan at iba pa ring mga balita sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
Trask Construction.
NET25 25th anniversary na po ng NET25.
Kaya naman mga ka-NET25, happy anniversary po sa ating lahat.
At mga ka-NET25, we want to thank you and ask you to keep on supporting our shows here sa NET25. And of course, kasama rin po kayo sa celebration namin. Kaya happy anniversary and happy 25th.
Congratulations sa ating lahat.
Sinisira ng taripa atensyon sa kalakaran ang kaayusan ng ekonomiya.
如果美方真的想通过对话谈判解决问题，就应该停止威胁讹诈，在平等、尊重、互惠的基础上同中方对话。一边说要同中方达成协议，一边不断搞极限施压，这不是同中方打交道的正确方式，也是行不通的。
Ito ang sinabi ni Chinese President Xi Jinping sa isang meeting kasama si Azerbaijan President Ilham Aliyev, kung saan inihayag ni China ang nais nilang partnership kasama ang Azerbaijan. Ayon po kay Xi, sinisira ng tariff and trade wars ang mga karapatan at interes ng mga bansa. Dagdag pa niya, nakasisira din ito ng mga multilateral trading systems na may malaking impact sa world economic order. Sa kanyang dialogo kasama ang Azerbaijan leader, nagkasundo na magkaroon ng comprehensive strategic partnership kung saan pumirma sila ng 20 cooperation documents. Kabilang na ang Azerbaijan sa mga bansang sumang-ayon sa Belt and Road Initiative ng China, kabilang na po rito ang Russia, Iran, Armenia at Georgia. Ayon kay Xi, nais silang magtulungan na pangalagaan ang kanilang international system, masinsinang law enforcement, maging ang pagpapatatag ng kanilang security cooperation.
中方同各方就关税问题保持着沟通。我想强调的是，关税战、贸易战没有赢家。美国滥施关税，公然违反世贸组织规则，损害各国正当权益。这种典型的单边主义、保护主义、经济霸凌的行径，不得人心，不可持续，正在遭到越来越多国家的抵制和反对。
Ibinunyag ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky na may mga Chinese na nagtatrabaho sa isang pabrika sa drone sa Russia. Kasunod dito ay iginit ni Zelensky na posibleng nakuha ng Moscow ang drone technology mula sa China nang hindi alam o kaya'y walang pahintulot ng Beijing. Sa isang press conference sa Kiev, sinabi ni Zelensky na iniimbestigahan na ng Ukraine ang posibilidad na ninakaw ng Russia ang teknolohiya o nakipagkasundo ito sa mga Chinese nationals na walang pahintulot ng kanilang Chinese Communist Party. Ang pahayag ay kasunod ng nauna niyang akusasyon na direktang nagbibigay umano ang China ng armas sa Russia na mariin namang itinanggi ng Beijing. Iniutos din ni Zelensky sa Security Service of Ukraine na ihatid ang mas detalyadong impormasyon sa China tungkol sa pagkakasangkot ng mga Chinese nationals sa drone production site sa Russia.
Ну і важлива інформація, вона не дуже приємна. Ми отримали нарешті інформацію, що Китай поставляє зброю Російської Федерації. І ми готові будемо говорити про це детально. На сьогодні ми маємо інформацію загальну від Служби безпеки, від розвідок про порох, артилерію. І я думаю, що ми дуже детально зможемо про це сказати наступного тижня, особливо про дані, що ми вважаємо, що представники Китаю займаються виробництвом деякої зброї на території Росії.
Magugunita na lumalalim ang tensyon sa pagitan ng Kiev at Beijing kasunod ng mga paratingan o paratang ng Ukraine laban sa China, kung saan sinabi rin ni Zelensky na ni-recruit umano ng Russia ang mga Chinese citizens sa pamamagitan ng social media upang lumaban sa kanilang panig. Tugon ng China na itigil na ng Ukraine ang mga irresponsabling mga pahayag at iginiit ang suporta nito sa kapayapaan. Gayunpaman, wala pang opisyal na tugon mula sa China at Russia ukol sa pinakahuling pahayag ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
劝和促谈，中方在乌克兰问题上的立场一贯明确，一直积极致力于止战停火、劝和促谈。中方从未向冲突任何一方提供致命性武器，严格管控军民两用物项。乌方对此是十分清楚的，也公开表示，俄方进口武器的零部件，多数来自美国等西方国家。中方坚决反对无端指责和政治操弄。
Iniulat ng Russian Defense Ministry ang nangyaring pagsabog ng isa sa pinakamalalaking Russian ammunition depots sa silangang bahagi ng Moscow. Sinisi ng Russian military ang pagsabog ng ammunition supply matapos masunog ang gusali dahil sa violations of safety requirements. Walang nasawi sa nangyaring pagsabog at sinimula ng investigasyon ng insidente. Idineklara ang state of emergency sa distrito ng Kirjak at inilikas ang mga residente sa mga kalapit na bayan.
Nagpahayag na ng interes si Russian President Vladimir Putin na magkaroon sila ng pag-uusap ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Боевые действия возобновились. Мы об этом сказали с самого начала, когда объявляли перемирие. Мы к перемирию всегда относимся положительно, поэтому и выступили с такой инициативой. Мы всегда об этом говорили, о том, что мы относимся к любым мирным инициативам положительно. Надеемся, что также к этому будут относиться и представители киевского режима. Хотя мы видели первичную реакцию, я думаю, что это все заметили. Было опубликовано заявление, согласно которому наше предложение рассматривалось как игра судьбами, с жизнями людей и так далее. Но там, видимо, нашлись кто-то поумнее, кто подсказал, скорее всего, это иностранные кураторы, что отвергать такие инициативы – это проигрышная позиция для киевского режима, и они быстро.
Sinabi nito na lagi nilang tinitingnan ang positibong resulta ng pagsulong ng usaping pangkapayapaan. Ipinaubaya na lamang niya sa Ukraine kung interesado pa sila sa pakikipag-usap. Una rito ay namagitan ng US sa pag-uusap ng dalawang opisyal kung saan mayroon silang ipinadalang mga representatives para tuluyan ng matapos ang mahigit 3 taon na kaguluhan sa dalawang bansa.
Сейчас мы видим, что в киевском режиме пытаются перехватить инициативу и говорить о расширении рамок и по времени, и по объектам поражения. Но мы должны подумать, конечно, и внимательно все оценить, посмотреть на результаты. Я ведь, если вы обратили внимание, и сказал с самого начала, когда встречался с начальником генерального штаба, что мы посмотрим, каков будет опыт объявления пасхального перемирия. В целом мы наблюдаем снижение боевой активности со стороны противника. Это правда. Это оценки, в том числе и командующих группировками наших. Но тем не менее, почти 5000 нарушений было, 4900. Из них 6 атак и 90 попыток ударов БПЛА самолетного типа. 100 тысяч, по-моему, 400 артобстрелов. Но в целом все-таки снижение активности имело место. Мы это приветствуем и готовы посмотреть на будущее.
Patay ang hindi bababa sa 26 na mga turista at sugatan ang 100 ng iba pa sa pinaghihinalaang terror attack sa Himalayan region ng Jammu at Kashmir kahapon. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, pinagbabaril ng mga armadong lalaki ang mga pumapasyal sa naturang sikat na tourist destination. Sinasabi na ito ang pinakamasamang pag-atake sa rehiyon sa mga sibilyan sa nakalipas na mga taon. Makikita sa mga kumalat na video sa social media ang madali ang pagresponde ng militar at medical aid ng rehiyon at ang takot ng ibang sibilyan matapos ang pangyayari. Ang armadong pag-atake ay kasunod ng pagbisita ni US Vice President J.D. Vance sa India para sa official visit sa New Delhi. Ipinaabot din ni Vance ang kanyang pakikiramay sa pamilya ng mga nasawi.
Hey guys, good afternoon. It's great to be here in Agra. We obviously just visited Taj Mahal with my family, one of those beautiful historic sites in the world. It was really special to get to see it, especially with the kids, especially as completely deserted as it was. Obviously, President Trump visited last time he was in India, and it was a great honor to see it. We've had a very successful visit. I want to just, of course, issue our condolences to the people of Kashmir who were affected by this terrible terrorist attack. The President's already spoken with Prime Minister Modi. I believe I'll be speaking with him later this afternoon. And obviously, we're providing whatever assistance and help we can provide to the government, to the people of India. But this has been a wonderful visit. The people here have been so welcoming, so kind to us. We're sad to leave, but excited to get back home.
Handang dinggin ng Russia ang mungkahin ng Ukraine ukol sa kapwa pagtigil ng pag-atake sa mga infrastrukturang sibilyan. Subalit, sinabi rin ng Kremlin na walang konkretong plano ukol sa pag-uusap ng dalawang bansa. Narito pong report ni Bernardo Gonzaga.
Noong Martes, ipinahayag ng Kremlin na handa ang Russia konsidera ang proposal ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky ukol sa paghinto ng pag-atake sa civilian infrastructure ng isa't isa. Ayon kay Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, ito ay masalimuot na paksa na handa naman talakayin ni Pangulong Vladimir Putin.
Украинской стороны, при открытости украинской стороны, наверное, должны быть какие-то приняты шаги для того, чтобы юридически расчистить вот эти препятствия на пути таких контактов, если есть такая готовность. Президент Путин неоднократно говорил о своей готовности решать вопросы путем переговоров.
Ito anya ay kung handa ba ang Ukraine na makipag-usap.
Сначала это нужно обсудить, и президент Путин сказал о готовности это обсуждать. Надо сначала понять, готова ли украинская сторона к этому.
Ngunit sa kabila nito, sinabi ni Peskov na sa kasalukuyan, walang konkretong plano ukol sa pag-uusap ng KYIV at Moscow.
Конкретных планов нет. Есть подтверждение президентом Путиным готовности обсуждать этот вопрос. Вот. С учетом анализа опыта пасхального.
Kapwa under pressure ang Ukraine at Russia na magpakita ng progreso ukol sa pagwawakas ng labanan sa Ukraine. Ang labanan ay nasa ika-4 na taon na. Kamakailan ay nagbabala si Pangulong Donald Trump ng Estados Unidos na iiwan nito ang pagsisikap na tulungan magkasundo ang dalawang panig. Bernhard Gonzaga para sa Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Kinumpirma ng Ukraine na binigyan nito ng mandato ang delegasyon ng bansa na dadalo sa peace talk sa London. Ang utos, talakayin ng buo o parsyal na tigil putukan sa pagitan ng Kiev at Moscow. Narito ang balita mula kay Michelle Verzonilla.
Noong Martes, sinabi ni President Volodymyr Zelensky na may ipinag-utos ito sa delegasyon ng Ukraine na makikipag-usap sa mga opisyal ng Western countries sa London na gaganapin ngayong Miyerkules.
Що стосується нашої команди, вона завтра має мандат на те, що має мандат. Це обговорення, безумовно, припинення вогню або часткового припинення вогню. Ми готові до цієї стадії. Ми готові також зафіксувати, що після припинення вогню ми готові сідати в будь-якому форматі.
Sinabi rin ni Zelensky na handa ang Ukraine na makipag-usap sa Russia sa anumang klaseng paraan sakaling may ipagtibay ng ceasefire. At kung tuluyan matapos na ang labanan sa pagitan ng puwersang Kiev at Moscow.
Якщо русські готові до повного припинення вогню, після повного припинення вогню, з розумінням на який термін, Ми готові до будь-якого формату перемовин з ними. До будь-якого.
Subalit nagbabala si Zelensky na hindi madaling magkasundo agad sa lahat ng bagay. Binanggit nito ang mga usapin tulad ng teritoryo, garantiyang panseguridad at ang pagsali ng Ukraine sa alyansang militar ng NATO.
Україна не визнає юридично окупацію Криму. Нема про що говорити. Це поза нашою Конституцією. Це наша територія. Територія народу України. Тому що як тільки ми починаємо говорити про Крим, про наші суверенні території тощо, ми заходимо в формат, якого і хоче Росія, затягування війни. Тому що швидко домовитись про все не вийде.
Michelle Verzonila, para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected on point.
Iminungkahi ni El Salvador President Nayib Bukele kay Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro na magkaroon ng prisoner exchange para sa 252 Venezuelans na deported mula sa Estados Unidos. Sa alok ni Bukele noong linggo ay nais niyang makuha ang political prisoners na nakadetine sa Venezuela sa parehong bilang ng nasabing deported Venezuelans na hawak naman ng El Salvador. Kinikilala ng ilang eksperto na ang alok ay paraan ni Bukele upang mabigyan ng pansin ang pagkakulong ng mahigit 900 political prisoners sa pamumuno ni Maduro sa Venezuela. Tinanggihan naman ng gobyerno ng Venezuela ang paratang na sila ay may hawak na political prisoners at iginiit na lahat ng nakakulong ay nahatulan ng krimen.
Yo le digo, señor Bukele, póngase a derecho. Responda al cuestionario del fiscal general de la República de Venezuela. Dé fe de vida de todos los muchachos secuestrados. Diga dónde están enjuiciados, qué causa, qué delito cometieron. Permita el acceso de sus abogados y familiares a la visita en la prisión donde los tiene secuestrados. Abandone el camino de la desaparición forzosa y, más temprano que tarde, póngalo en libertad incondicionalmente. Libertad incondicional para los jóvenes que están secuestrados en El Salvador.
Noong Marso ay matatandaang nagbayad ang US sa El Salvador ng $6 million upang ibilanggo ang mahigit 200 Venezuelans sa isang high-security terrorism confinement center. Inakusahan na miyembro ng criminal gang na Tren de Agua ang mga nasabing Venezuelans, bagay na tinanggihan naman ng gobyerno ng Venezuela. Maraming human rights activists ang nagagalit na nadadamay ang mga deported Venezuelans sa politikal na pagkatalo ng mga nasabing pinuno.
Binansagang 100 days of chaos ang naging pamumuno ng administrasyon ni US President Donald Trump sa kanyang ikalawang tenure sa White House. Hindi naging mabulaklak ang unang 100 araw ni Trump dahil sa mga kontrobersyal na polisiya na ipinatupad ng kanyang administrasyon, katulad ng mga polisiyang pang-ekonomiya, healthcare at deportations.
Fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day, waiting for a long time.
Umaray ang maraming pamilya sa pagtaas ng presyo ng mga bilihin bunsod ng mga tariff policies ni Trump. Nagdulot pa ito ng malawakang pag-aalala sa posibilidad ng economic recession at pinatindi ang tensyon sa diplomatic relations ng Amerika sa ibang bansa. Tinawag itong Trump slump ng marami dahil sa magulong dulot ng Trump tariffs. Nawalan din ng trabaho ang maraming tao, lalo na sa mga ahensyang ipinasara sa pamamagitan ng pagsasanib puwersa ni Trump at Musk na itinalagang hepe ng Department of Government Efficiency o DOGE. Nabingit pa sa panganib ang mga law-abiding migrants ng Amerika dahil sa mass deportations ng Trump administration. Isang administrative error ang nagresulta sa maling pag-deport sa isang Maryland resident patungong El Salvador.
But I will say this, we were inundated by millions of people, many millions of people during the Biden administration. They say 21 million. And a big percentage of those are criminals, serious criminals. I'm not saying just criminals because they came into the border illegally. I'm saying they're criminals at the highest level, murderers. Many of those people murdered more than one person, and they're on the loose. And I was elected to get rid of those criminals, to get them out of our country. or to put them away, but to get them out of our country.
Tinuligsari ni Trump ang sektor ng edukasyon kung saan isa sa mga una niyang hakbang ay buwagin ng Department of Education ng Amerika. Itinigil din ni Trump ang pagbibigay ng federal funds ng iba't ibang universidad katulad ng Harvard at Columbia University matapos nilang tumutol sa mga utos ni Trump na baguhin ang ilang aspeto ng kanilang pamamalakad.
Because I think Harvard's a disgrace. I think what they did was a disgrace. They're obviously anti-Semitic, and all of a sudden they're starting to behave. But when you see what they were saying, what they were doing, when you see the way they took care of events, when you watch that woman, that horrendous president that ruined the image of Harvard, maybe permanently, in Congress, in the halls of Congress, when you take a look at what happened there, it was horrific.
Ayon sa mga eksperto, kabaligtaran ng mga ipinangako ni Trump sa kanyang pangangampanya ang nagaganap mula nang siya'y manungkulan bilang presidente. Sinimula noong 1933 ang tradisyong paghatol sa bagong presidente ng Amerika batay sa kanilang nagawa sa unang 100 araw ng kanilang pamumuno.
Nagbabala ang United Nations sa mabilis na paglawak ng cyber scam operations sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo.
It is unbelievable. We're talking about tens of thousands of people, 120,000 victims, human trafficking victims, sent into these centers to operate these scams, these international scams. And they're reaching the entire world. Victims giving up billions of dollars that are being used to fuel these atrocities as a result of these scam centers.
Ayon sa kanilang ulat, kumikita ng mahigit $40 billion bawat taon ang mga transnational organized crime groups mula sa mga scam centers na lumalaganap sa mga bahagi ng Timog Silangang Asya, Africa at Latin America. Dinetalye rin sa ulat na ang mga Chinese at Southeast Asian gangs ay gumagamit ng iba't ibang cybercrimes katulad ng fake investments, cryptocurrency at iba pang uri ng mga scam. Ang mga nasabing scam centers ay ipinupwesto sa mga liblib na lugar kung saan mahina ang pagpapatupad ng mga batas. Noong Pebrero lamang ay mahigit 7,000 traffic workers mula sa scam centers ang napalaya sa isang operasyon na isinagawa sa Myanmar. Nagiging mas mahirap naman ang pagtugis sa mga kriminal dahil sa kanilang paggamit ng makabagong teknolohiya. Iminungkahi naman ng United Nations sa mga bansa na magtulungan upang mapalakas ang puwersa laban sa paglaganap ng transnational organized crime groups.
Susunod, mga residente inilikas dahil sa wildfires sa New Jersey.
Maglola sa New York, nakaligtas sa sumabog na manhole.
At presyo ng ginto pumalo na sa $3,500. Detalye ng mga balitang yan at iba pa ring mga balita sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
Trust. Bravery and resilience. The people of Sudan mark 2 years of war. Fighting fire with fire. In Australia, age-old Aboriginal techniques help to fight bushfires. And big, colourful and pricey. In India, weddings are lavish. The industry's booming.
Global Us.
Ngayong 2025, 25th anniversary na po ng NET25.
Kaya naman mga ka-NET25, happy anniversary po sa ating lahat.
At mga ka-NET25, we want to thank you and ask you to keep on supporting our shows here sa NET25. And of course, kasama rin po kayo sa celebration namin. Kaya happy anniversary and happy 25th.
Congratulations sa ating lahat!
Nagbabalik ang mata ng Agila International at sa pagpapatuloy po ng ating mga balita ngayong gabi. Hindi dadalo ang State Secretary ng US at Ukraine peace talks sa London sa kabila ng anunsyong plano nitong bumiyahe papunta sa nasabing lungsod. May lasimulan po para sa report.
Ayon kay US State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce noong Lunes, hindi dadalo sa usapang pangkapayapaan para sa Ukraine si State Secretary Marco Rubio. Ang Ukraine peace talks ay gaganapin sa London ngayong Miyerkules. Ibinahagi ni Bruce ang dahilan.
And in this particular instance, while the meetings in London are still occurring, he will not be attending. But that is not a statement regarding the meetings. It's a statement about logistical issues in his schedule.
Ayon kay Bruce, tuloy ang peace talks, ngunit imbis na si Rubio, si Ukraine Envoy General Keith Kellogg ang dadalo para sa US. Si Kellogg ay kasalukuyang nasa London.
Well, I do know, yes, that General Kellogg is there, and so he will be having those conversations. So we look forward to hearing back from him about whether or not we've had some success in London.
Kinumpirma ni Pangulong Volodymyr Zelensky na babahagi ang Ukraine sa pakikipag-usap kasama ang US at mga bansa sa Europa ngayong Miyerkules. Ang usapang magaganap sa London ay bilang follow-up sa pulong sa Paris noong nakarang linggo kung saan tinalakay ng US at EU ang mga paraan na maaaring magtapos sa higit na 3 taong labanan sa pagitan ng Ukraine at Russia. May nasumbulan para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Patuloy po ang pag-aapula ng mga bumbero sa wildfires na kumakalat sa New Jersey. Ayon sa New Jersey Forest Fire Service, higit 3,200 acres na ang tinupok ng wildfires, habang higit 3,000 mga residente na ang inilikas patungo sa mga evacuation centers. Sa ngayon, 5% pa lamang ng wildfires ang na-contain ng fire services. Nahirapan po kasi sila dahil sa malakas na ihip ng hangin sa rehiyon. Dahil sa epekto naman ng wildfires ay nananatiling nasa higit 1,320 na mga gusali ang walang kuryente at pinangangambahang maaapektuhan pa ng malawakang sunog. Inaalam naman ng mga otoridad kung may mga nasaktan o nasawi sa insidente.
Hindi nagdalawang isip ang isang lalaki sa India na sagipi ng isang estudyanteng nakuryente habang ito ay sumisisid sa tubig baha. Mula sa nakalap na CCTV footage, makikita ang estudyante na kinilala bilang si Jaden Ryan na naglalakad sa gilid ng daan. Pero makalipas ang ilang sandali ay biglang natumba na lamang ang bata. Buti na lamang ay may nakakita na motorcycle rider sa nangyari. Dito na rin naglakas loob ang rider na hugutin ang bata mula sa tubig baha. Nang naiahon ng lalaki si Ryan ay binigyan niya ito ng CPR bago niya dinala sa pinakamalapit na ospital. Laking pasasalamat naman ang ama ni Jaden sa lalaking nagbuwis ng kanyang buhay para iligtas ang kanyang anak mula sa peligro.
Nakaligtas naman po ang maglola sa New York mula sa pagsabog ng isang manhole. Kasama ni Liza Davis ang kanyang 2 apo para maglakad sa Academy Street bandang 1:30 ng hapon. Buti na lamang ay nalampasan na nila ang section ng manhole bago ito sumambulat ang mga debris dahil sa pagsabog. Kinumpirma ng Poughkeepsie Fire Department na hindi nasaktan ang maglola. Ililikas naman ng mga residente malapit sa sumabog na manhole dahil sa mataas na level ng carbon monoxide na na-detect ng Fire Department.
Sa Papua New Guinea, ibinandera ng iba't ibang probinsya ng bansa ang kani-kanilang mga produkto, tour operations, travel agencies at sining sa ginanap na National Tourism Conference and Expo 2025. Kasama sa mga i-showcase ay panlokal at internasyonal na handmade items na karamihan ay may mga disenyong kakaiba at kahanga-hanga. Alamin natin ang balitang yan mula kay NET25 correspondent Eco Hortaleza Quinola.
Layo ng national conference na ito na turuan ang mga mamamayan ng tinatawag na insightful network connection
at ipagmalaki ng Papua New Guinea ay isang travel destination.
Tourism, as you know, brings a lot to the economy. It trickles down right to the core where the people are. It's an industry that touches the lives of everyone. But we just need to develop it properly, and with the right support and government intervention, we can achieve a lot.
Tinawag ni Minister of Arts and Tourism Belden Nama ang turismo ng Papua New Guinea na isang pot of gold at springboard ng ekonomiya ng bansa.
We must all work together and manage whatever little resources we have to create an environment and manage whatever we have to create that product for our visitors to come to our country.
Sa tulumpati ni Prime Minister James Marape, pinuri nito ang mga sangay ng gobyerno tulad ng Papua New Guinea Tourism Agency Promotions, Mineral Resource Development Company, at ang Tourism Industry Association.
So we welcome you who are big-scale investors, especially Australian investors and Chinese investors, Japanese investors, Indonesian investors, Philippine investors. This is your space. Very soon we'll be full member of ASEAN.
Nakatanggap rin ng pagkakilala ang ilang individual dahil sa kanilang kontribusyon sa sinig at kultura ng bansa. Tinalakay din sa expo ang pagkakaroon ng mas mababang air tickets at ang pagpapagiting ng seguridad ng mga turista. Umaasa ang gobyerno ng Papua New Guinea na lalo pang dadami ang mga turista sa taong ito at lalong tataas at lalawak ang ekonomiya ng bansa.
Oh, we have baskets here, we have fans, we have all varieties of things that our women in Bougainville, they weave. So we want to showcase to the world or any gift shops in Mosby whom we can supply this.
Eko Hortaleza Quinola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Maaaring lumamang ang Samsung laban sa Apple sa gitna po yan ng umiinit na trade war ng Estados Unidos at ng China. Ito ay dahil hindi nakasentro ang Samsung sa China sa paggawa ng kanilang mga smartphones, samantalang 90% ng iPhone ay ginagawa pa rin sa China. Ang Samsung ay gumagawa ng mga smartphones sa Vietnam, South Korea at may sarili pang pabrika ito sa India na siyang pinakamalaking exporter ng Samsung phones noong nakaraang taon. Dahil dito, mas malaki ang posibilidad na maaapektuhan ng Apple ng bagong taripa ni US President Donald Trump, lalo na kung tumaas pa ang buwis sa mga produktong galing ng China. Ayon sa ulat, maaaring tumaas ng hanggang $800 ang presyo ng iPhone 16 Pro Max kung matutuloy ang dagdag na buwis. Gayunpaman, ayon sa mga eksperto, hindi kaagad ibig sabihin ito ay tataas na ang benta ng Samsung dahil matibay ang loyalty ng Apple users at mas nangingibabaw pa rin ang Apple sa high-end market. Parehong kumpanya pa rin ang maaaring maapektuhan kung tataas ang presyo ng bilihin at bababa ang kakayanan ng mga tao na bumili ng bagong gadgets. Sa panahong ito, mas uunahin ng mga tao ang pang-araw-araw na pangangailangan nila kaysa mag-upgrade ng smartphone.
Samantala, pumalo na sa $3,500 mark ang halaga ng ginto per ounce matapos kalampagin ni US President Donald Trump ang hepe ng US Federal Reserve. Ang pambabatikos ni Trump kay Federal Reserve Chief Jerome Powell ay nagdulot umano ng pag-aalala sa mga investors na nagresulta naman sa mabilisang pagbili ng ginto. Naapektuhan din ang stock markets ng Asia, bunsod ang rush buying sa ginto na nagpahina naman sa Wall Street at halaga ng dolyar. Itinuturing na safe haven asset ang ginto dahil ito ay may stable na halaga at hindi basta-basta naapektuhan ang pagbabago sa merkado. Nais kasi ni Trump na pababain ang interest rates ng itinatakda ng Federal Reserve para hindi bumagal ang ekonomiya.
The only thing that hasn't come down but hasn't gone up much are interest rates, and we think the Fed should lower the rate. We think that it's a perfect time to lower the rate, and would like to see our chairman be early or on time as opposed to late. Late's not good.
Nanindigan naman si Powell sa kanyang pagtangging pababain ng interest rates dahil gustoan niya nitong makita muna ang magiging epekto ng mga taripa ni Trump lalo na sa inflation rate ng ekonomiya.
The new administration is in the process of implementing
substantial policy changes in 4 distinct areas: trade, immigration, fiscal policy, and regulation. These policies are still evolving, and their effects on the economy remain highly uncertain. As we learn more, we will continue to update our assessment.
Kasalukuyang naghihintay ang mga merkado sa magiging pahayag ng mga opisyal ng Federal Reserve ngayong linggo, partikular sa kanilang monetary policies. Nakatakda ng lumipad ang Zhenzhou 20 crude spaceflight mission matapos itong maipasa ang mga huling pag-iensayo bilang paghahanda. Ayon sa ulat ay nakahanda na ang mga personnel at maayos ang mga kagamitan na gagamitin para sa misyon. Sa isinagawang rehearsal ay nagkaroon ng simulation mula sa pre-launch hanggang sa ignition at orbital flight upang masuri ang mga parametro at pamamaraan na ipatutupad sa araw ng paglipad. Ang misyon ay pangungunahan naman ni Chinese astronaut Chen Dong kasama sina Wang Ji at Chen Zhongrui. Ang Zhenzhou 20 crude space flight mission ay nakatakdang lumipad sa April 24 ngayong taon.
Nagdemanda naman ang isang babae sa Nevada kay National Football League Hall of Famer at media personality na si Shannon Sharp ng higit $50 million. Ayon sa complainant, pinagsamantalahan at pinagbantaan umano siya nito sa loob ng 2 taong relasyon. Itinanggi ni Sharp sa isang video statement sa X ang mga paratang ukol dito at tinatawag ang demanda na isang shakedown. Umubra ang Luka Magic para sa kanilang game series tie sa kanilang round 2 matchup laban sa Timberwolves habang nagtagumpay muli ang Indiana Pacers laban sa Milwaukee Bucks sa 2025 NBA Playoffs. Si Kyle Lara uli para sa play-by-play.
Muling pinatunayan ni Luka Doncic at ng Los Angeles Lakers na hindi sila papayag na mangyari muli ang kanilang Game 1 loss laban sa Minnesota Timberwolves na nagtapos ng final score na 94-85. Nagpakitang gilas ang Slovenian magician sa kanyang paghihiganti at nakamit ang 31 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists at kinonekta ang kanyang 11 for 11 sa free throws. Sinabayan nito ni LeBron James at Austin Reeves na mayroong combined scores na 37 points, 16 rebounds at 12 assists. Sa kabila ng pagkatalo, nagpasa pa rin si Julius Randle ng 27 points habang si Anthony Edwards naman ay mayroong 25 para sa Timberwolves. Nakatakda ang kanilang Game 3 showdown ng serya ng April 25 sa Minnesota, ngunit hindi ito mahalaga. Ant-Man step back, Cat with the Wolfpack, Rudy trying to talk smack. Lakers in 5. Samantala, nanganganib ang koponan ng Milwaukee Bucks at ang playoffs run ni Giannis Antetokounmpo at ng muling pagbabalik ni Damian Lillard matapos ng kanilang Game 2 loss sa Indiana Pacers. Naging matagumpay naman ang Siakam-Haliburton duo para sa pangalawang pagkapanalo ng Pacers laban sa Bucks na may final score na 123-115. Nagkamit si Captain Clutch Haliburton ng 21 points at 12 assists kasabay ni Spicy P. Siakam na may 24 points, 11 rebounds at isang crucial 3-point dime para sa huling takbo ng Pacers. Para naman sa kanyang comeback game, nagkamit si Damian Lillard ng 14 points, 4 for 13 from the field sa loob ng 37 minutes, kasabay ni Bobby Portis Jr. na may dagdag na 28 points, 6 na 3 at 12 rebounds para sa Milwaukee. Kyle Lara, para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected.
He's in the lane with the left hand and he scoops it off the right-hand glass.
Nako, excited na po ba ang lahat dahil sa 4 na araw na lamang at magaganap na ang inaabangang summer event ng taon. Walang iba kundi ang Summer Blast 2025. Naghihintay na po sa inyo ang fun activities sa pambuong pamilya at sa gabi naman, syempre, nandyan po yung jam-packed na Summer Blast Concert. Makakasama natin ang mga P-pop groups na Kalista at Horizon at ang mga bandang Sunkist Lola, I Belong to the Zoo at Jumanji. Abangan din sina Earl Agustin, Yang Constantino at ang Asia's pop superstar. Naku, nandyan po pala si Miss Sarah Geronimo. Kaya ayain na ang buong pamilya, pati na rin ang inyong tropa at tara na sa Summer Blast 2025 ngayong April 27, 2025 sa Philippine Arena Complex sa Bukawi, Bulacan. At saan nga ba maaaring bumili ng tickets? Pwede niyo pong bilhin ang inyong mga tickets dito sa NET25 Building, number 25 Central Avenue, Culiat, Quezon City ngayong linggo mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes, alas 9 ng umaga hanggang alas 4 ng hapon. Ito po ang aming pasasalamat sa inyo, sa inyong panonood at pagtangkilit sa NET25 sa loob ng 25 taon. Para sa mga bagong updates patungkol sa Summer Blast 2025, patuloy lamang na sundan ang official social media pages ng NET25 at ng Philippine Arena. At syempre, tumutok po dito lamang sa #1 Family Entertainment Channel, walang iba kundi NET25.
Sa ibang balita, magsisimula na muli ang trial kay Harvey Weinstein sa New York ngayong Miyerkules. Siya ay naharap sa mga bagong kaso ng rape at sexual assault mula sa 3 mga babae, kabilang ang isa na hindi bahagi ng unang paglilitis. Ang jury ngayon ay binubuo ng 7 kababaihan at 5 kalalakihan kasama ang 5 alternatibong miyembro mula sa iba't ibang professions katulad ng scientist, photographer, software engineer at social worker. Sila ang magpapasya sa kaso ni Weinstein na dati nang hinatulan noong 2020 ngunit binawi ang desisyon ng korte noong 2023 dahil sa technicalities. Ang mga bagong reklamo ay nagsasabi na si Weinstein ay nanggahasa ng isang babae taong 2013 at pinilit ang 2 pa na gumawa ng malalaswang aktibidad taong 2006. Mariing itinanggi ni Weinstein ang mga paratang at sinabing pumayag ang mga nabanggit na kababaihan sa lahat ng nangyari. Tiniyak ng korte na sila ay makatarungan at walang pinapanigan, lalo pat sensitibo ang kasong ito. Susunod, airport sa Japan nagmistulang Sanrioland ni Hello Kitty.
At viral Dubai chocolate trend nagdulot ng worldwide pistachio shortage.
Abangan ang iba pang mga storya pagdating ni Alma Angeles at ng NET25 World News. Patuloy pa rin pong umantabay, magbabalik pa ang mata ng Agila International.
The population dilemma takes you deep into the heart of one of humanity's most urgent issues. Ayan ang ating aabangan sa Ito ang Tahanan ngayong Sabado at Linggo, alas 8 hanggang alas 9 ng umaga sa NET25.
Let's get together sa NET25. Sa NET25.
Pansamantalang pinalitan ang pangalan ng Oita Airport sa Japan bilang Oita Hello Kitty Airport simula ngayon hanggang October 13, 2025. Layunin itong hikayati ng mga turista na bumisita sa Oita sa halip na sa mas mataong lugar katulad ng Tokyo at Kyoto. Makikita si Hello Kitty at iba pang Sanrio characters katulad ni My Melody, Little Twin Stars at Pochaco sa buong paliparan. Malapit si Oita o sa Oita ang Harmony Land, isang Sanrio theme park, kaya't bagay ang tema ng paliparan. Ayon sa Sanrio at lokal na mga pamahalaan, nais nilang itampok ang mga natural na hot springs at pagkain ng Oita habang ginagamit ang kasikatan ni Hello Kitty para makaakit ng mga turista mula sa loob at labas ng bansa. Hindi ito ang unang airport sa Japan na gumamit ng anime o cartoon theme. Ginamit na rin dati ang mga karakter na katulad ni Detective Conan, Kitaro, Pokemon at Super Mario sa iba't ibang paliparan sa bansa. Pinarangalan naman ng Guinness World Records ang isang professional figure skater sa Ukraine para sa most 360 spins on stilt skates in 30 seconds. Kinuha ni Alisa Pilishenko ang titulo nang siya ay umikot sa isang paa ng 34 na beses sa kalahating minuto habang suot ang stilt skates na may taas na 45 sentimetro. Dahil sa digmaan sa pagitan ng Ukraine at Russia ay nasira ang mga ice skating rinks kaya karamihan sa pagsasanay ni Alisa ay gamit ang roller skates. Minsan ay naglalakbay si Alisa ng 500 kilometro mula sa kanyang tahanan papuntang Kiev at Dnipro upang makapag-ensayo. Ayon kay Alisa, nakatulong naman ang lahat ng natutunan niya sa pagpupursigi na maging Guinness World Record holder upang mahasa ang kanyang kakayahan bilang isang professional figure skater.
Nagkaroon na po ng worldwide pistachio shortage dahil sa patuloy na paglaganap ng isang patok na chocolate recipe sa TikTok. Ang Dubai chocolate ay ginagawa gamit ang milk chocolate na may palaman na creamy pistachio at kunafa, isang sangkap na nagmula sa Middle East. Sa United States at sa Iran sinasaka ang mga pistachio kernels na kinikilalang pinakamahalagang sangkap ng Dubai chocolate. Ayon sa mga Iranian pistachio producers, dumaragdag na ng 40% ang na-export na pistachio nuts sa United Arab Emirates kung ikukumpara sa kabuuan ng nakaraang taon. Sa US naman ay tumaas ang presyo ng pistachio mula $7 hanggang sa $10 per pound. Samantala, gumagawa naman ang sariling bersyon ng patok na Dubai chocolate ang mga malalaking kumpanya katulad ng Lindt upang makisabay sa bagong food craze. At narito po kami para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako ng mundo. Magandang gabi, ako po muli si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alago Flores, ito po ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman po sa iba pang mga balitang nangyari din sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa NET25 World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina and Ricky. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News. On tonight's headlines. President Trump's trade policies are taking a toll on global economic outlook.
Global growth will reach 2.8% this year and 3% next year, a cumulative downgrade of about 0.8 percentage point relative to our January 2025 Rio update.
Well, what we're seeing, of course, is a very significant impact of the new trade tensions between the U.S. and a number of other countries.
Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro announced just today that the second batch of those BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles is about to land on our shores.
So, parating na ito at aming gagawin ang kailangan natin upang magamit ito ng
And the news starts now. President Trump's trade policies are taking a toll on global economic outlook. The IMF has downgraded growth forecasts for almost all countries, with the U.S. facing the steepest decline among advanced economies, and China's growth falling short of expectations.
The International Monetary Fund slashed its global growth forecast Tuesday because of the impact of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs, saying they will hurt the economy of the United States, China, and most other countries. Pierre-Olivier Gorinches is the IMF's chief economist.
Well, what we're seeing, of course, is a very significant impact of the new trade tensions between the U.S. and a number of other countries. We've seen a flurry of tariff announcements since the end of January with countermeasures from some countries. And all of that is very heavily coloring our outlook for this year and next year.
The IMF now sees global growth at 2.8% in 2025.
The surge in policy uncertainty is a major driver of the economic outlook. If sustained, the increase in trade tensions and uncertainty will slow global growth significantly. Reflecting this complexity, our report presents a reference forecast which incorporates policy announcements up to April 4 by the U.S. and trading partners. Under these reference forecasts, global growth will reach 2.8% this year and 3% next year, a cumulative downgrade of about 0.8 percentage point relative to our January 2025 WEO update.
Its U.S. outlook for this year dropped nearly a full percentage point to 1.8%, and its forecast for China fell to 4% from 4.6% earlier in the year. It sees output near these levels in 2026. The IMF called the report a reference forecast based on developments through April 4th, citing the extreme complexity and fluidity of the current moment. Gorinches told reporters it was not forecasting a recession in the U.S., but the odds of a downturn had increased from about 25% to 37%. He said the IMF was now projecting U.S. headline inflation to reach 3% in 2025, 1 percentage point higher than it forecast in January due to tariffs and underlying strength in services. He said the combination of potentially slower growth and higher prices will create challenges for the Federal Reserve.
What we see is in the U.S. is the tariffs acting as a supply shock. So that's lowering output and that's increasing price pressures. Not the good news for a central bank, because you're facing a difficult trade-off and the higher price pressure is something that you have to get under control. But there is also the increased uncertainty. And the increased uncertainty, which is related to the fact that no one is able to tell where things will settle eventually, means businesses are pausing investment or purchases, and that's weighing down on activity that could continue.
Asked about the impact of any moves by the White House to remove Fed Chair Jerome Powell, Gorinches said it was absolutely critical that central banks were able to remain independent to maintain their credibility in addressing inflation.
The global economy needs a clear, stable, and predictable trading environment, one that addresses some of the long-standing gaps in international trading rules. Monetary policy will need to remain agile and respond by tightening where inflation pressures re-emerge while easing where weak demand dominates. Monetary policy credibility will be key, especially where inflation expectations might de-anchor, and central bank independence remains a cornerstone. And we're just coming off the cost of living crisis, a surge in inflation rates to double digits that we haven't seen in more than a generation. So the critical thing is to make sure that inflation expectations remain anchored, that everyone remains convinced that central banks will do what is necessary to bring inflation back to central bank targets in an orderly manner.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he's optimistic he can reach a trade deal with China. And Trump is now saying he has no plans to fire the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell. Here's Thomas I. Likeness for more.
Trump says trade talks with China will be civil and he will be Mr. Nice Guy in the negotiations.
I'm not going to say, I'm going to play hardball with China. I'm going to play hardball with you, President Xi. No. We're going to be very nice. They're going to be very nice. And we'll see what happens. But ultimately, they have to make a deal because otherwise they're not going to be able to deal in the United States.
Trump says if no deal can be reached, the U.S. will set the terms. As far as tariffs on Chinese imports, Trump says they will come down once there is a deal.
145% is very high. and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high. It got up to there. We were talking about fentanyl, where various elements built it up to 145. No, it won't be anywhere near that high.
What level do you think it'll come down to if you have it?
It'll come down substantially, but it won't be zero.
But typically, Trump provides no details on when talks with China will begin or when tariffs might come down. Trump also says he has no intention of firing Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. Now, just last week, Trump posted on social media that Powell's termination could not come soon enough. Now the president is denying he ever said that.
Never did. The press runs away with things. No, I have no intention of firing him. I would like to see him be a little more active in terms of his idea to lower interest rates. This is a perfect time to lower interest rates. If he doesn't, is it the end? No, it's not. But it would be good timing. It could have taken place earlier. But no, I have no intention to fire him.
Trump's de-escalation of his attacks on Powell and China seems to have soothed some of the fears investors on Wall Street have had. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent also provided some calm for the financial markets. He told a private meeting Tuesday that the ongoing trade war with China is unsustainable. The markets welcomed that news, finishing the day with gains of more than 2.5%. But the ongoing trade war and other chaos out of Washington has prompted the International Monetary Fund to revise its forecasts for world economic growth. Chief economist Pierre-Olivier Garancha says the fund predicts slower growth for the U.S., China, and most other countries.
Well, what we're seeing, of course, is a very significant impact of the new trade tensions between the U.S. and a number of other countries. We've seen a flurry of tariff announcements since the end of January with countermeasures from some countries. And all of that is very heavily coloring our outlook for this year and next year.
And while Tuesday's remarks from Trump may provide some temporary relief in the markets, the absence of a clear trade policy has left the financial world still trying to cope with a lot of uncertainty. Thomas I. Likeness, NET25 World News.
And also tonight, with a significant development in the defense ties between India and the Philippines. Take a look. Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro announced just today that the second batch of those BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles is about to land on our shores.
Ang aming ginagawa, na order nga dito, ngunit kung saan ito ilalagay at kung saan ito i-store, hindi nakahanda noon. Kaming inihabol at aming inikanda. So parating na ito at aming gagawin ang kailangan natin upang magamit ito ng sana.
This delivery is the second of 3 missile batteries acquired under a $375 million agreement with BrahMos Aerospace finalized in 2022. The BrahMos missile system, with a range of 290 kilometers and multi-platform launch capability, is a key component of the Philippine military's ongoing modernization program. This delivery comes at a time of heightened diplomatic and security tensions between Manila and Beijing, largely stemming from ongoing disputes in the South China Sea and recent accusations of espionage. This system, exported to the Philippines, is a complete coastal defense package, including mobile launchers, radar, and command centers, all designed for the Philippines' challenging terrain. This supersonic missile can carry a substantial warhead, and its low-altitude sea-skimming flight makes it extremely difficult to intercept. For the Philippines, this acquisition is crucial for bolstering its coastal defenses, particularly in the South China Sea, enhancing its ability to protect its extensive coastline and maritime interests. A horrific attack has rocked the popular tourist region of Pahalgam in India's Jammu and Kashmir region. Now, suspected militants opened fire earlier this week, leaving a trail of death and injury. At least 26 people were killed, 17 others wounded in the attack, which occurred in the scenic Baisaran Valley. This area, often dubbed Mini Switzerland for its stunning landscapes, was bustling with tourists enjoying the spring season. Authorities estimate around 1,000 people were present when the gunfire erupted.
I heard 2 gunshots and saw a large gathering of people. When I reached the firing site, I rescued 3 individuals.
The victims of this senseless violence were all men, including 25 Indian nationals and 1 citizen of Nepal. As security forces intensify their search for the perpetrators, a little-known militant group calling itself Kashmir Resistance has claimed responsibility. In a social media message, the group expressed anger over the perceived settlement of outsiders in the region, alleging it's aimed at triggering a demographic change. India's security agencies believe this group is merely a front for militants based in neighboring Pakistan. Islamabad has consistently denied India's accusations of supporting separatist groups in Kashmir, stating its support is only moral and diplomatic, backing the Kashmiri people's pursuit of self-determination. In the wake of the attack, hundreds of security personnel have been deployed to the Baisaran area to hunt for the gunmen. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has vowed that those responsible will not be spared and cut short his trip to Saudi Arabia, returning to India today to convene a meeting with top officials, including the National Security Advisor. Meanwhile, Home Minister Amit Shah is on the ground in Kashmir, assessing the situation firsthand. He visited the attack site this morning and met with grieving relatives of the victims, offering condolences and assurance of action. Understandably, the attack has triggered widespread fear among tourists. Visitors are now scrambling to leave Kashmir, and airlines have responded by organizing extra flights to accommodate the surge in demand. India's aviation regulator has also acknowledged the unexpected rush of tourists seeking to return home and has urged airlines to consider waiving cancellation and rescheduling fees for those affected by this tragedy.
I do not have words to express how sad and frightened we are. We were supposed to stay in Kashmir for 2 more days. However, we have canceled our tour now and are moving back to Jammu.
How can we continue our trip in such a situation? We need to prioritize our safety. We can only travel if our minds are relaxed, but everyone is tense here. So, we can't continue to travel. Authorities have also declared a red alert, so everything has been shut down.
The attack in Pahalgam has cast a dark shadow over a region known for its beauty, raising serious concerns about the security of tourists and the potential resurgence of militant activity. The investigation is ongoing and the world watches as India grapples with this latest act of violence in a long-troubled territory. A large wildfire known as the Jones Road Fire is currently burning across Ocean County, New Jersey, primarily in the Greenwood Forest Wildlife Management Area near Barnegat Township. Now the fire has rapidly expanded to over 8,500 acres, and as of Tuesday evening U.S. time, it is only about 10% contained. Here's more. Due to the fire size and threat, mandatory evacuation orders have been issued for roughly 3,000 residents in affected areas including Barnegat, Ware Town, and Lacey Townships. Shelters have been set up at local high schools and churches to accommodate evacuees. Over 1,300 structures are reported to be threatened by the fire. The wildfire has forced the closure of significant stretch of the Garden State Parkway, New Jersey's major north-south highway between exits 63 and 80, and traffic is being diverted, causing severe congestion and delays. Additionally, power outages have affected more than 25,000 residents in Ocean County as Jersey Central Power and Light cut electricity in parts of the area to ensure safety for firefighting crews. No injuries or deaths have been reported so far, but some businesses in an industrial area of Lacey Township have been destroyed, while residential damage appears limited at this time. Thick smoke has degraded air quality, prompting public health warnings in the region. The cause of the wildfire remains under investigation. The region is experiencing abnormally dry to drought conditions. contributing to the high risk of fire. This fire is the second major forest fire in the area within a week, underscoring the challenging wildfire conditions currently facing New Jersey. Firefighters are actively battling the blaze with ground crews, fire engines, bulldozers, and aerial support working to contain the fire and protect threatened structures. Hawaii's Kilauea volcano has come back to life, erupting again early this morning with some truly spectacular lava fountains. The south vent shot lava as high as 600 feet, and that's about the height of a 60-story building. Meanwhile, the north vent was putting on its own show, with fountains reaching up to 200 feet. This latest activity marks the start of what scientists are calling episode 18 of the ongoing eruption inside the Halemaumau crater. The eruption lasted about 10 hours and poured out millions of cubic meters of lava, covering more than half of the crater floor. The lava started bubbling up just about 1:30 a.m., and by around 3:20 a.m., the fountains were going full force. Along with the lava, there's been a lot of volcanic gas released, and some volcanic glass particles, called Pellus hair, have been falling nearby thanks to calm winds. Officials say all the action is still contained within Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, and there's no sign of activity spreading to other parts of the volcano. The alert level remains at watch, so scientists are keeping a close eye on things. A strong earthquake with a magnitude of 6.2 rocked Istanbul today, shaking the city of 16 million residents. Now, the Turkey's disaster agency AFAD reported the quake hit at 12:49 p.m. local time with its epicenter near Silivri, about 80 kilometers west of Istanbul at a shallow depth of around 7 to 10 kilometers. Buildings swayed across the city, prompting many residents to evacuate. There were no immediate reports of major damage, but one person was injured after jumping from a balcony during the tremor, according to local broadcaster TGRT. AFAD has warned people in the affected region to avoid entering any buildings that may have been damaged. The quake is among the strongest to hit Istanbul in recent years and occurred during a public holiday, adding to the disruption. Authorities continue to monitor the situation closely, and updates will follow as more information becomes available. Thai rice farmers are facing a double whammy. Already struggling with low prices after India's return to the export market, they now brace for potential U.S. tariffs under President Trump that could devastate their lucrative American market. Take a look.
Tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump may pile pain on Thailand's ailing rice sector, valued at billions of dollars. Things were already bad this year after rice prices crashed when India resumed exports in September. Now Thailand, the world's second largest exporter of rice, faces a 36% tariff on goods. Those kick in unless talks with Washington are successful before Trump's tariff moratorium ends in July. Rice farmer Dang Dong Singh, who sells her harvest at a rice mill in central Thailand, worries about her income, which provides for a family of 9.
The problem is that the price of rice is very low, while other costs such as fertilizer and farmland rent are higher. There is an imbalance and I'm losing money.
The US is Thailand's third largest market by volume, but most lucrative. It usually imports the most expensive fragrant jasmine variety, which the Thai Rice Exporters Association says brought in $735 million last year. The group's honorary president, Chukyat Oppadwong, says Thailand will struggle to compete in the U.S. market if the new tariffs go ahead.
If the U.S. imposes high tariffs on us, our jasmine rice will be too expensive to compete. If they impose 30% tariffs at $1,000 per metric ton, the price would rise to about $1,300. This is a very high price, and since we don't know how Vietnam plans to negotiate, And the price of Vietnamese jasmine rice is at $580 per metric ton. No matter how much they manage to bring the tariffs down, or even if they get like a 40% negotiated tariff, there is still a considerable gap between our price and their price, given our higher base price.
The association noted a 30% decline in Thailand's overall rice exports for the first quarter. That's as countries delayed buying decisions and supply grew with India's return to the market. The association expects a similar decline in exports over the next 3 months. The concessions Thailand is proposing to counter Trump include bringing tariffs of U.S. corn down from 73% to 0%. But industry groups say that would also hurt Thai farmers. President of the Rice Millers Association, Banjong Thandit Wathanagun, says a flood of cheap corn imports could further depress prices of broken rice and rice bran, which are used in animal feed. The industry and farmers are pinning their hopes on negotiations between a Thai delegation led by the country's finance minister and the U.S. For farmers like Deng, their livelihoods hang in the balance and may be jeopardized by decisions made halfway across the world.
My children read the news and they tell me, we won't be able to survive, Mum, if things go on like this, with what the foreign countries are doing.
In a twist of trade war irony, even Texas-style barbecue joints in Beijing are having to ditch American beef. Punishing tariffs imposed by China have made U.S. imports prohibitively expensive, forcing restaurants to source their brisket and ribs from down under. Take a look.
The U.S.-China trade war means American beef, the star of the menu at this Texas-style smokehouse in Beijing, will soon be off the table. U.S. beef is an unaffordable option after Beijing's 125% retaliatory tariffs, on top of an existing 22%. Come May, diners at Home Plate BBQ will be tucking into beef ribs, brisket, and sausages, still done in the style of the American South, but mostly sourced from Australia. Operations Director Charles DePaulette says the switch to brisket from down under is 40% cheaper than continuing to buy American.
Once we deplete our stocks of that, we'll be switching fully over to Australian M5. We're pretty happy with it. We still think it's the same taste and quality and flavour, but we've had to switch just due to market pressures and the tariffs. Stocks are low in China and the prices have doubled.
Pork isn't exempt either. He says their ribs will soon come from Canada. Even before the trade war began, American beef was expensive, partly because of shortages caused by years of dry weather. Those higher prices were already hard to swallow for consumers in China's weak economy. Local university student Yan says he eats imported beef once every few months because the taste is so good. So he doesn't mind forking out the extra cost once in a while just to experience it. He also says that great flavor isn't exclusive to the US and that he's happy to try beef from anywhere. Home Plate BBQ's experience is being repeated across Beijing's restaurants. That's according to a beef supplier based in the capital who spoke anonymously because of the sensitivity of discussing tariffs. While the $125 million worth of beef the US sends to China every month is a sliver of trade between the two sides, its disappearance in China is a glimpse of what's to come for other goods. Tian Chenshu, a senior economist at the Economist Intelligence Unit, says China seems to be lowering its dependence on US exporters.
I think there's an additional layer, which is China is intentionally hitting the U.S. farming sector, which means that U.S. farmers will be very difficult to find an exemption from China. Yeah, so I think essentially the beef trade will be blocked. Yeah, and Chinese importers or U.S. exporters need to find something alternative markets.
He estimates across the board, 80% of US-China trade is being hit by mutual tariffs. And he says that will only deepen the decoupling between China and the US in terms of trade.
And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back.
We are now open for business.
signal to the world we are open for business.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos. Every Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sa NET25.
Having stumbled in its initial European foray, Chinese EV leader BYD is now scrambling to fix strategic errors. Now, sources reveal that BYD's challenges in Europe included insufficient dealer networks, a lack of local executive expertise, and a delayed entry into the hybrid vehicle market, prompting a significant operational overhaul. Take a look.
Chinese EV giant BYD is executing a European reboot. Reuters sources, all current or former executives, say the firm is having a rethink after a series of strategic stumbles. That includes failing to sign up enough dealers or hire executives with local market knowledge. BYD has also decided it needs to offer hybrids in countries still resistant to fully electric vehicles. The executives say it's now moving fast to tackle all such failings. That includes poaching managers from European automakers, in particular Stellantis. BYD is targeting Europe after enjoying a stellar rise in China, where its sales have risen sevenfold since 2020. It's now the world's sixth biggest automaker and has overtaken Tesla as the top maker of EVs. But a protracted price war in its home market has made profits hard to come by and spurred the search for overseas income. The company expanded to Europe in 2023 with bold ambitions. BYD aimed to be the region's top EV seller by 2030. But the Reuters sources say it failed to do its homework before diving in. They say the core mistake was to treat the area as one market, when car buying customs and preferences are actually very different across European countries. Now, some figures suggest its reboot is already paying off. Including the UK, sales in Europe more than tripled in the first quarter of this year. Even so, the firm still has a long way to go. In Germany, the region's biggest market, BYD sold fewer than 2,900 cars last year.
China is considering a bold plan to power its future International Lunar Research Station, or ILRS, with a nuclear plant on the moon. A recent presentation revealed this. Take a look. This ambition aligns with China's goal to become a leading space power and land astronauts on the moon by 2030, with its Chang'e 8 mission paving the way for a permanent lunar base. While large-scale solar arrays remain a potential power source, the inclusion of a nuclear power unit in a presentation to international partners of the ILRS suggests strong support from Beijing, despite no formal announcement. Russia's Roscosmos had previously indicated a joint nuclear reactor project with China for the ILRS by 2035.
We and the People's Republic of China have big plans, interesting, good and grandiose ones for cooperation in space. In general with the BRICS countries, with India, South Africa, Brazil. This cooperation does not stop and it cannot stop.
China's Lunar South Pole Outpost timeline mirrors NASA's Artemis program, aiming for a U.S. crewed lunar landing in late 2025. The ILRS's basic model is targeted for completion by 2035, with China's Chang'e probes contributing to its construction. Looking further ahead, China envisions the 555 project, inviting broad international participation in the ILRS. And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you all for joining us. Good night.